You, who have spent your life hearing that milk is good for your bones, may be surprised by what we are going to reveal. That daily glass may not be the health elixir you imagine, especially if you're over 60. Get ready to question your habits and discover the truth behind milk in old age. Far from demonizing milk, this video seeks to critically analyze its effects on the mature organism. What nourishes a growing young man can, paradoxically, bring challenges to a body that has already lived many stories. Milk, a staple food in many cultures, is known for its high calcium content, essential for bone health. Furthermore, milk contains proteins, vitamins, and other important nutrients. However, milk digestion may become more difficult as we age, and some studies question its benefits for bone health in the elderly. Additionally, milk has been linked to certain health risks, such as an increased risk of some types of cancer. Do you want to know more about how to take care of your health in old age? Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. One of the main problems with milk for the elderly is lactose, the natural sugar in milk. As people age, many people develop lactose intolerance due to a decrease in the production of the enzyme lactase, responsible for digesting lactose. Lactose intolerance can cause uncomfortable symptoms such as bloating, gas, diarrhea, and abdominal cramps. For the elderly, these symptoms can be particularly bothersome and interfere with their quality of life. In addition to lactose, milk contains saturated fats, which can increase LDL cholesterol, bad cholesterol levels, and increase the risk of heart disease. For the elderly, who are already at increased risk of cardiovascular disease, excessive consumption of whole milk can be harmful. Some studies have linked milk consumption to an increased risk of prostate cancer in men and ovarian cancer in women. Although the evidence is not conclusive, it is important to be aware of these potential risks. On the other hand, milk is a good source of calcium, a mineral essential for bone health. Osteoporosis, a condition characterized by loss of bone density, is common in older people and can increase the risk of fractures. However, not all studies show that drinking milk prevents fractures in the elderly. Some studies suggest that calcium from other sources, such as green leafy vegetables and supplements, may be as effective as calcium from milk. In addition to calcium, milk contains vitamin D, which is important for calcium absorption and bone health. However, many elderly people are vitamin D deficient, and the amount of vitamin D in milk may not be enough to meet their needs. For older adults who tolerate milk, moderate consumption of skim or lactose-free milk may be an option to obtain calcium and vitamin D. However, it is important to consider other sources of calcium and vitamin D, such as green leafy vegetables, fatty fish, and supplements. For those who cannot tolerate milk or prefer to avoid consuming dairy products, there are many plant-based alternatives such as soy milk, almond milk, rice milk, and coconut milk. These plant-based milks are often fortified with calcium and vitamin D. In summary, milk consumption in old age is a complex issue, with risks and benefits to be considered. The decision whether or not to consume milk must be individualized, taking into account lactose tolerance, the risk of cardiovascular diseases, calcium and vitamin D intake, and personal preferences. Now, let's delve deeper into the most worrying risks associated with its consumption: bone fractures, prostate cancer, and the uncomfortable lactose intolerance. Contrary to popular belief, some studies suggest that high milk consumption can, paradoxically, increase the risk of fractures in the elderly, especially in women. Research published in the British Medical Journal, BMJ, revealed that women who consumed 3 or more glasses of milk per day had a higher risk of fractures and mortality, compared to those who consumed less milk. Researchers speculate that the high concentration of lactose and galactose in milk may increase oxidative stress and inflammation, which can harm bone health. Another concern is the possible link between milk consumption and prostate cancer. Studies have shown that men who consume large amounts of dairy products have an increased risk of developing the disease. A systematic review of observational studies found a significant association between dairy consumption and prostate cancer risk. Researchers believe that the hormones and growth factors present in milk may contribute to the development of prostate cancer. Lactose intolerance is another common problem in the elderly. As we age, the body tends to produce less lactase, the enzyme responsible for digesting lactose, the sugar in milk. Lactose intolerance can cause symptoms such as bloating, gas, diarrhea and abdominal cramps, which can be quite uncomfortable and interfere with the quality of life of the elderly. The intensity of the symptoms of lactose intolerance varies from person to person, depending on the amount of lactase the body still produces and the amount of lactose consumed. For seniors with lactose intolerance, there are several options available, such as consuming lactose-free milk, using lactase supplements, and choosing plant-based alternatives to milk. It is important to note that not all elderly people are lactose intolerant. Some are able to digest milk without problems, even at an advanced age. However, if you notice symptoms such as bloating, gas, diarrhea, or abdominal cramps after consuming milk, it is important to see a doctor to check if you have lactose intolerance. In addition to the risks mentioned, milk can also be a source of food allergies in some people. Milk allergy is most common in children, but can also occur in adults and the elderly. Milk allergy symptoms can range from mild to severe and include rashes, hives, swelling of the lips and tongue, difficulty breathing, and anaphylactic shock. If you suspect you have a milk allergy, it is important to seek medical attention immediately. If the risks associated with drinking milk in old age worry you, don't despair. There are countless nutritious and tasty alternatives to ensure adequate intake of calcium and other essential nutrients. Green leafy vegetables, such as kale, broccoli, and spinach, are excellent sources of calcium, as well as being rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. 2 cups of chopped raw kale provide about 180 milligrams of calcium, plus a generous dose of vitamin K, essential for bone health. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that vitamin K contributes to the maintenance of bone density in postmenopausal women. Tofu, a soy-based food, is another excellent source of calcium, as well as being rich in protein and other important nutrients. Half a cup of firm tofu can provide between 275 and 861 milligrams of calcium, depending on the brand and preparation method. Tofu is also a good source of manganese and selenium, minerals important for bone health and antioxidant function. Fortified plant-based milks, such as soy milk, almond milk, and oat milk, are popular alternatives to cow's milk, especially for those who are lactose intolerant or follow a vegan diet. An 8-ounce serving of fortified soy milk provides about 30% of the recommended daily allowance of calcium and 25% of the recommended daily allowance of vitamin D. Additionally, soy milk may help reduce cholesterol levels and blood pressure. Nuts and seeds, such as almonds, chia seeds, and sesame seeds, are other excellent sources of calcium and other important nutrients. A 30-gram serving of chia seeds provides about 179 milligrams of calcium, as well as a good amount of fiber and omega-3 fatty acids. Chia seeds also contain boron, a mineral that aids in calcium absorption and promotes bone health. White beans are a low-fat, fiber-rich food that also provides a good amount of calcium. 1 cup of cooked white beans provides about 161 milligrams of calcium, as well as a good amount of iron and other important nutrients. White beans can be added to soups, salads, and other dishes. Dried figs are a tasty and nutritious option for increasing your calcium intake. 8 dried figs provide around 241 milligrams of calcium, as well as a good amount of fiber and antioxidants. Dried figs can be eaten as a snack or added to cereals, yogurts, and other dishes. It is important to remember that calcium absorption can be influenced by several factors, such as the presence of vitamin D, the intake of other nutrients, and individual health status. To ensure adequate intake of calcium and other important nutrients, it is essential to consult a qualified healthcare professional who can assess your individual needs and recommend a balanced, personalized diet. So far, we have explored the risks and alternatives to drinking milk in old age. But what do experts say about this controversial topic? Let's analyze the opinions of renowned researchers and experienced doctors. Researchers at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, including Dr. David Ludwig and Dr. Walter Willett, have raised important questions about government dairy consumption recommendations. In a review published in the New England Journal of Medicine, they argued against recommending 3 daily servings of dairy products for teenagers and adults. They noted that while milk can help children grow, it may not be as beneficial for bone health in adults and the elderly. In fact, countries with high dairy consumption also tend to have high rates of hip fractures. Researchers have also expressed concern about the possible link between dairy consumption and certain types of cancer, such as prostate cancer and ovarian cancer. A study funded by the National Cancer Institute, NCI, found that replacing cow's milk with soy milk was associated with a 32% lower risk of breast cancer in women. Similarly, unfermented soy products such as tofu and soy milk have been linked to a 30% lower risk of prostate cancer in men. These findings suggest that hormones and the high fat content of dairy products may contribute to cancer risk. Dr. Neil Barnard of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine is also a critic of dairy consumption. He argues that dairy is not necessary for bone health and that there are many other sources of calcium and vitamin D available. Dr. Barnard also highlights the risks associated with consuming dairy products, such as an increased risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer. He notes that replacing dairy with soy milk can reduce several risk factors for heart disease, including total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, blood pressure, and inflammatory markers. Experts also agree that lactose intolerance is a common problem in older people and that many people can benefit from reducing or eliminating their dairy consumption. Lactose intolerance can cause uncomfortable symptoms, such as bloating, gas, diarrhea, and abdominal cramps, which can interfere with the quality of life of the elderly. In summary, experts' opinions on milk consumption in old age are varied and complex. Some advocate moderate dairy consumption, while others recommend reducing or completely eliminating milk from the diet. The decision whether or not to consume milk should be individualized, taking into account potential risks and benefits, lactose tolerance, personal preferences, and recommendations from a qualified healthcare professional. We have reached the end of this investigative journey into milk consumption after the age of 60. We analyze potential risks, explore nutritious alternatives, and hear from renowned experts. Now, it's time to make a conscious and informed decision about your milk consumption. Remember, there is no one-size-fits-all answer. What works for one person may not work for another. The key is to know your body, listen to its signals, and seek professional guidance. If you do not have symptoms of lactose intolerance and enjoy the taste of milk, moderate consumption of skim or lactose-free milk may be an option to obtain calcium and vitamin D. However, it is important to be aware of the potential risks associated with drinking milk, such as an increased risk of fractures, prostate cancer, and heart disease. If you experience symptoms of lactose intolerance, such as bloating, gas, diarrhea, or abdominal cramps, it is recommended to reduce or eliminate milk consumption from your diet. There are many nutritious alternatives to milk, such as green leafy vegetables, tofu, fortified plant-based milks, nuts, seeds, white beans, and dried figs. Make sure you get enough calcium and vitamin D from other food sources or through supplements if necessary. Consult a doctor or nutritionist to assess your individual needs and receive personalized guidance about your diet. Tell your doctor about all medications and supplements you are taking, as some may interact with calcium and vitamin D. Maintain a healthy lifestyle with a balanced diet, regular exercise, and adequate sleep. Physical activity, especially muscle strengthening and weight-bearing exercises, is essential for bone health and preventing falls and fractures. Avoid excessive consumption of alcohol and caffeine, as they can interfere with calcium absorption and increase the risk of osteoporosis. If you have any questions or concerns about drinking milk, don't hesitate to talk to your doctor or nutritionist. Remember that your health is your most precious asset. Take care of your body and mind, and make conscious and informed decisions about your diet. Did you like this video? Leave a like, share with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel to receive more tips and information about health and well-being in old age. Leave a comment below with your questions and experiences about drinking milk.